Okay, so this is actually, as they say right here, a trapezoidal prism. It's a trapezoidal prism. Why do we call it a prism? There are a trapezoid, top and bottom. Well, really, it's kind of laying on its side. So normally, you know, top and bottom. So a prism is a shape that has two of the same thing, top and bottom. So this is a trapezoid here. This is a trapezoid here. These are the bases. These two trapezoids. And then in between the trapezoids, this right here is the height. So again, this one's laying on its side. Notice the height goes at 90 degrees to the bases, right? Remember, that's always the definition of height. It must go, I can't make that right angle. There we go. Height must go at 90 degrees to the base. That's what height really means. To measure your height, you'd go 90 degrees down to the base. Okay, now, how do we, so the first question, what is the area of the base, meaning the area of this trapezoid over here? Let me write the area of a trap, because this is a trap. This shape right here is a trapezoid. What's the area of a trapezoid? Well, if you go to the notes, this is the, again, the exam 3 notes. So the exam 3 notes. We got a trapezoid right here. Here's the area of a trapezoid formula. It's the one base, the other base times the height divided by 2. So base plus base, little b plus big B in parentheses, times the height divided by 2. So big B and little b are the bottom and top of the trapezoid, added together in parentheses, times the height, which must be 90 degrees between the bases, divided by 2. Okay, so let's write that down. It's going to be big B plus little b times the height divided by 2. Now, what are the big B and the little b? That's a little tricky. Well, this over here is the big B, and this over here is the little b, and the height is this line right here between them. Make that H a little better. At 90 degrees between them. Now, why did I do it that way? Well, because they have to be 90 degrees, don't they? The height has to be 90 degrees between the bases. So, okay, so let's count these. What do we got there? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My big B is 8. My little b is 3, and my height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. So my height is 6 squares. So what's the area of the trapezoid? It's going to be the big B, which is 8, plus the little b, which is 3, times the height, which is 6, divided by 2. And so that equals what? 11 times 6 divided by 2. And so mine comes out 33. Oops. 33. So I'm getting that answer there. 33. So 33 is the area of the trapezoid. So that's the first question. What's the area of the trapezoid? And that's going to be, my units are centimeters. So it's going to be square centimeters, because it's how many squares, right? Area is how many squares. You could fit 33 squares in here, in this trapezoid. So there's the area of the trapezoid, which is the base. And then what's the distance between the bases? Now, what's a little tricky here is we start using the word base in lots of different ways. There's actually three what we call bases in this problem. Are you seeing them all? It can be kind of confusing. We have the big base and the little base of the trapezoid, And then the whole trapezoid is called a base. So, you know, we've got two-dimensional bases and three-dimensional bases. It gets confusing. So the big B and the little b are bases on the trapezoid. And then when we get to the three-dimensional look, the whole trapezoid is called the base in the volume formula. So got to kind of keep all those straight. What's the distance between the bases? Well, that's that height right there, isn't it? The height, that's the 10, and then that's just centimeters because that's just distance as it says right there. And then finally, what is the volume? Well, volume. So if we go to the Prism formulas up here, let me go show you those on the notes. So here's from the exam 3 notes. Volume of a prism is base times height. So you just take the, you know, whatever the base is, like if the base was a pentagon, we take the area of the pentagon times the height, because the pentagon is the ground floor, times the height. Area of the base times the height. So there it is. So we're going to say, okay. So the volume is the base times the height. So what's the ground floor base? Well, that's the 33. We mean the whole base, the whole trapezoidal base. The base we're referring to now is the whole trapezoid. So that's 33 times, and what's the height? That's the 10. So we get 330, and the units now are cubic, right? Because we're talking about how many cubes would actually fill up this three-dimensional shape. 330 centimeter by centimeter by centimeter cubes. There we go.